There is an old saying that I'm sure everyone knows: comparison is the thief of joy. And so in this video, I want to take a moment just to talk about something that is very important in the hobby, no matter what miniature game you are collecting, no matter what you're painting, and that is the effect of comparison and whether your miniatures are good enough. So a big part of the miniature wargaming hobby, no matter what game system you are using, is building and painting. Most of our models come unassembled. This varies depending on the manufacturer and the game system that you are using, but you usually have to assemble your model in some way, and also they come unpainted. Now, it is possible nowadays that you can get games where the models are coming in coloured plastics, and so you could just go straight onto the table and just do the blues versus the reds, for example. However, most of us find it quite an important part to help us engross ourselves in the game itself to paint them, and we are just painting little plastic models like this. And so why is it so important that we not get caught up in the frenzy of trying to keep up with other people? And so today, let me talk a little bit about that. First, I would like to say about the obvious elephant in the room, which is social media nowadays. I've recently rejoined Instagram, and as I scroll through my feed, I see a lot of incredibly painted miniatures. I also see some that are more to my taste in the fact that they are painted by ordinary people. By this, I mean we need to not be looking at social media to get a gauge of where we are with our own painting. And this is because these photos are a snapshot in time. They are the best of the best that a person can produce. These people have probably spent a lot of time painting these miniatures, as we all do, but they're usually very skilled people who have got the best lighting setup, the best photographic equipment, they know how to use the settings on their camera, and so they get the best result. And I hate to say it, there's probably a bit of editing that goes into the photos as well to ensure that they look as good as they can. It may be a little bit of colour correction, a little bit of lighting correction. It may be very minimal, but it doesn't always represent what you're going to see if you saw that model in person. So when it comes to social media, they're great to look at. They're great for inspiration. You can appreciate them, but you should not expect that your miniatures are going to look like their miniatures. The next part of this is experience. Someone who has been painting consistently for 20 years is going to have a completely different skill set and ability to someone who has picked up their paintbrush for the first time. Does that mean that your miniature isn't very good? No, it just means that it's different to what they can produce. And there are natural skill levels and tips and tricks that you may not know or have, that they have acquired over a long journey of painting their miniatures. And so your time invested in the hobby and your natural skill level and the tips and tricks that you may have picked up play a factor into how your miniatures are going to look compared to someone else's. The next thing I'd like to talk about on this kind of general subject is the fact that our miniatures are quite often used for looking at or gaming with, and so we're not looking at them close up. I find personally with my miniatures that I look at them and I'm very happy. I think they look fantastic. And then I take a photograph of them and the photograph is zoomed in and you see a slight mistake. And then you zoom in on that mistake and suddenly you start thinking, this looks awful. And yet I can hold the photo on my phone, looking at it right next to the miniature, and I'm looking at the two going, I love it in person, I don't love it in the photograph. And so you need to be happy with what you see in front of you, rather than what you see when you have a photograph and it's zoomed in and it's just not what you're seeing in person. You should be proud of what you've done, and if you're happy with it, then don't worry about what comes out in a photograph. Everybody has tiny mistakes, brush strokes that may not be perfect if you zoom in close enough using a photograph. You should also consider what you are really likely to see when you go and play a game. Now, you might be a tournament player and you're going and playing tournaments where they have a requirement to enter the tournament that your models have a certain number of coats of paint on them or colours on them. I think it's quite common to just ensure that they've got 3 colours on them and that they're not bare plastic or undercoat. But when you go for a casual game with your friends or your friendly local gaming store or gaming club, what are you actually likely to see when you look across the table at your army? Well, you're going to see unpainted miniatures, you're going to see ones that aren't even primed. People have bought their miniatures, they want to play with them, they don't want to wait however long it takes them to paint that squad before they can use it. And that's fair enough. The game is here, if you're playing it, to be fun. So it's great to have painted miniatures, but in the end, you want to use that miniature in the game. So just remember that when you're looking at your miniatures and they don't quite feel like they're up to standard, that not everybody has a Golden Demon winning army. They have got models just like you, they've painted them to the best of their ability, and they're using them to have fun with you whilst playing a game. So don't feel despondent if you feel that yours doesn't look like you're seeing on social media, like you seeing on the box art, because in reality, that is not what is going on in the real world. That is not what is going on when you go to your local club and you see people. That is not what you see when you go around your friend's house and look at their armies. And lastly, remember, these are your models. You've spent the time painting them, you've spent the time building them, you have to look at them. So if you're happy with what you've done, who really cares about what standard it is? If all you've done is undercoat the model in silver and put a wash over it and you like the way it looks, then you like the way it looks, and that's all that counts. All that counts is that you are happy with what you have done. You can take advice from people who see your models and give you tips on how to improve. However, if you're happy with it, don't let anyone ever tell you that your model is not up to standard. Your model is up to standard if you are happy with it. Now, I know that's a tough thing because maybe we're never 100% happy with what we've done, and maybe that's something that we need to work on our own about ourselves, but I can say personally, I like the way that my miniatures look. Hopefully you can say the same about the miniatures that you have put your time, effort and love into to get them to the state that they are in. Whatever state that is in, I've got models that are not completed and not finished, and I'm still happy with them, and that is all that matters, and that is all that matters to you as well, that you are comfortable and happy with what you've done. Thank you for watching this video, and remember, don't compare yourself to others. Just take hints and tips if you want to off of them. Enjoy looking at other people's models, but at the end of the day, your models are perfection. Whatever anyone else says, they are perfection because you've painted them and you like them. Thanks for watching.